afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Cecilia and the Ambassador, Vice Minister, and our Vice President for such an interesting and really engaging debate. I'm looking forward to having another really exciting talk today, which is about Europe's data dilemma: protect privacy, share data, or stay competitive. First of all, of course, I would like to invite to the stage our dear panelists. Please, may I start with you, dear MEP Marina Kaljurand, who comes from Estonia. From Estonia, from SND, and sits in the LIBE committee in the European Parliament, which stands for Liberties, Home Affairs and Justice. And she is also the newly appointed Digital Omnibus Rapporteur. Welcome. Excellent. Then I would like to invite Minister from Poland, Dariusz Sztanderski. I hope I pronounce well. Hi, Dariusz. Welcome. Excellent. Dariusz is a doctor of economics and law, and he is also a lecturer in a university, Faculty of Economical Science in Warsaw. And he's a co-author, this is something I was very excited to read, of the program Digital State Strategy for Poland, which looks not only into the situation in Poland, but also in the European Union as a whole. So welcome to the panel. And last but not least, may I invite Mikael Beck from Ericsson. Hello, Mikael. Welcome. Mikael is an excellent expert in Ericsson, if I may say so. Mikael, you joined Ericsson in the 90s. I will not reveal the date, but you had multiple managerial positions in the organization. You are right now covering the Europe region as well as Asia-Pacific region, and have a special also role in Ericsson's business in Japan. And if I may add also a special note that you are a very active member at Digital Europe, also our former board member, our executive board member. So great. Welcome all of you to the stage. Unfortunately, the events team is telling me that we really have to keep it short because, of course, our distinguished guests, they have an extremely busy agenda. So I will try to keep it sweet and short, but I'm sure we can really go into the details of the discussion. So first of all, if I may start with a little bit of setting the scene. I don't know if I need to do that because Digital Omnibus, I think everybody knows what it is. Anybody? Yeah? The fellow Brussels bubblers are, yes, I know. But just maybe to say to the ones, because of course, like we are also have audience online sitting in the capital, so it is really an attempt from the European Commission to try to change several laws in one go. To put it simply, and particularly here we are talking about the laws covering data, cybersecurity, privacy, GDPR, etc. Before I start and I give the floor to our panelists, I believe we have a Slido. Do we? Can we put it on the screen? Yeah. So there is a QR code. Believe you see it? Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Anna. You can use Slido to put questions, okay, to our panelists, and I will try to maybe pick one or two live from here if we have a minute or two. And if we don't, it's still very interesting to read your reactions, your comments afterwards. Excellent. So, Dariusz, I will start with you, if that's okay, because I know that you really have a very, very pressing agenda. So, if you really need to leave, just give us a sign. But to put it simply, of course, we know that industry and the society they need both. They need the protection, but also they need simplicity, and they need to have an ability to do business easily in Europe. And how do we strike that balance between the two? Are there any concrete ideas that come from Poland, and you being as a lawyer in particular, what could we change to actually strike that balance right?
So first of all, it's great to be here. It's always the great platform to share ideas, to have arguments, and to talk about both protection of our data and development. And as you said at the beginning, we need to be short, we have no time, and that's why I'm glad that we have some more time to discuss the digital omnibus. That there is possibility to work on the exact specific provisions. And to answer this question, how to find this balance between data protection and development of our businesses, I believe that the technology is the real answer. Because as we are discussing also today such tools as the European Business Wallet, as European Union Digital Identity Wallet, those solutions are the real answer how to simplify procedures with having the same level of the protection. And I truly believe that after we implement both EUD Wallet and European Business Wallet, those two will be the great enablers to the second wave of simplification. Because when I would have application to run my business and to contact with my government within my smartphone, then we will be able to start a discussion how I can automatically send all my report duties to the government, how I can strictly with the all GDPR rules share my data, only the part of data I want to share and nothing more. So I believe that those omnibuses that are already passed all under the discussion are only the beginning. The second strong wave of simplification made by technology is ahead, and I believe that this effort to implement both business wallets is worth to take, and then we'll be able to discuss more on simplification after, of course, digital omnibus would be properly discussed on the council level.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dariusz. And indeed, like we were very glad to see the development in the council that actually member states decided that it's needed to take some time to properly discuss. We were indeed quite worried here in Digital Europe that that maybe the discussions will be so rushed without any actual simplification. So we definitely applaud the decision from last week, and also to achieve that, just to ensure that like business really stands behind this decision, and we definitely have ideas how to actually to make it better. So very happy to share those. And at Digital Europe, one thing, and I think several of you were here this morning and heard how we work at Digital Europe, which is a lot of work with the national trade associations, which means that they are the ones sitting in the capitals and actually working together with us to achieve good results in Brussels. So also us, we led a coalition of 30 plus associations coming from different countries, but also European associations who indeed are standing behind the decision in the council. So well done. Thank you so much. Dear Marina, if I may, congratulations on your appointment as the rapporteur for the Digital Omnibus. It's really a great honor and lots of work now ahead. I know that you are well advanced as well with your ideas, what needs to be changed. And I know that you also have a particular interest in the GDPR, which is I'm sure something that is very interesting for the audience to hear. So would you share a bit your thoughts? What could we expect to see in the report from the European Parliament?
Yes, sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being part of this excellent panel. And thank you for the discussion. I can already start with not agreeing to what has been already said here.
Excellent. Please.
For me, the fact that Council could not agree on its position was a real disappointment. Mm-hmm. Because I have to say that Council was very ambitious when looking at Commission's proposal, digital omnibus proposal. And on many points, I can say that the Parliament, at least the LIBA data protection side of the Parliament, shared Council's positions. What will happen now? I'm not going to name the countries. One is sitting on the stage, but I'm not going to name the countries who decided that they need more time. Let's see what they will do with the time. But having been in politics and in Parliament for many years, I'm afraid that the Council's position will not be as ambitious as it would have been during Cyprus presidency. Second, the aim of the digital omnibus is not to change laws. Aim of digital omnibus is to simplify, clarify, raise awareness, fight fragmentation, and raise competition. That's the aim of the digital omnibus. So if somebody wants to change GDPR or thinks that GDPR has to be discussed at least, now many years after being implemented and adopted, I do not argue with that, I agree. But that's another process. What the GDPR is about, and I also have to clarify that I'm not the only rapporteur on digital omnibus. In the European Parliament, it's divided between two committees. I'm the LIBE committee, so I'm doing more data protection, and there is also co-rapporteur Aura Salla from ITRE committee, which is industry part. And with MEP Aura Salla, we have had several discussions, several meetings, and we produced our joint report, which is in the translation at the moment in the European Parliament, which will be soon made public. And I have to say that there were not many points where we could agree. And maybe the basic one, the change of the definition of personal data. If somebody says that changing definition brings more clarity and brings more understanding, think twice. Reference to one court case, which itself has said that it's a very specific court case for a specific case, does not bring clarity. It creates confusion, it creates lots of question marks, it creates the question, how now? How should we understand data protection, personal data, after the Commission's proposal? So I will be fighting until the end to delete the Commission's proposal to change personal data definition. I don't know whether I will be successful or not, because in the end, it's the 705 members of the Parliament who will be voting Parliament's position, but I'll do my best to convince my the other members of the European Parliament. Do we need better understanding of personal data? Do we need better understanding of pseudonymization, anonymization? Yes, agree. But we should not change laws every time we have a question mark. We have DPAs who are working, we have EDPS who are issuing their guidelines, and we have to finally start implementing those. I'm sorry that Germany has 18 DPAs. I'm sorry about that. But we can't change the laws every time one of the German DPAs has a problem. So I'm looking at the national DPAs to start doing their work, to start following the implementation, to start following application of the existing rules, and then we can overcome fragmentation. It's a question of political will. Draghi and Letta did not say that we are lagging behind because we are protecting fundamental rights. They said that we are lagging behind because we do not have belief and we do not act as a single market. And coming from Estonia, trust me, I see the protectionism in almost every move. Either it's defense, either it's whatever. It's protectionism, protectionism, protectionism from the member states. And if we do not change that thinking, we can adopt hundreds of new omnibuses, but it will not change anything. Now the omnibuses that have been already adopted or are being discussed at the moment, I'm not very optimistic about them. I had the possibility to participate in one of the final trialogues on mid-cap, SMEs. And what Commission said in the last in the last sentence was that we had good negotiations. Now we have 3 different definitions of SMEs. So if that's one of the side effects of the omnibus process, then we're doing something really wrong. And we as co-legislators, we can produce hundreds of documents. But if there is no political will, and if we do not change our thinking as one single market, nothing will change. And I very much agree with what Minister said on EIDAS, digital documents. Again, coming from Estonia, where I have had the privilege of having digital lifestyle for 30 years, trust me, it's worth. And it's time to have pan-European, EU-level accepted digital IDs for all our citizens, for all our residents. Otherwise, we can't have digital single market. We can't have digital services if we do not have that part. On digital wallet, again agree, it's a very good step forward. But how do we do them? If we want to include into the text that all member states have to write from zero their new technological solutions, that's not right. We have already. We have had already for tens of years, and we do not need anything new. So we have to adapt. We have to take into account there are some member states who are far ahead, there are some member states who need pushing, and we have to do it so that the ones who are far ahead do not suffer. If we start doing everything from zero to everybody, and I'll stop here, yeah? It's already too long. I'll stop here, but the topic is really very close to my heart, and I can talk endlessly about that. But maybe one thing, when I'm looking at the digital omnibus, 2 parts. First of all, I think that the single entry point for incident reporting, good solution. The templates, good solution. Do not agree about that. Do not argue about that. But then we come to the Articles 88A, 88B, 88C, yeah? Cookie fatigue. On one hand, we have citizens who are tired of cookies. But whenever I try to talk to industry and business, how should we do it? We end with, but we are the exception. Let's write something which is good for citizens, but give us exception. Whether I talk to media, whether I talk to anybody else, everybody wants to be an exception. But as long as we have the attitude that I want to be the exception, we will not be successful in finding a good solution for cookie consent, which is also good for our citizens. And my final sentence. Yeah. The heading, they do not contradict. I would argue that we can protect data, we can protect fundamental rights, and we can be competitive. But it's very much the question of political will.
Thank you so much, dear Marina, and indeed. As you can hear, the job we have here in Brussels is really not the easiest one, to try to strike the balance between all the different institutions, different interests, and sometimes, you know, like within the same institution, different approaches from the different political parties. But we definitely can agree on some of the things, and I think this is where is the starting point. And I really liked what you said about the single entry point or harmonized definitions, reporting, etc. when it comes to cybersecurity laws, for example. So this is something that is definitely that we can take it forward. I want to ask Mikael whether you can be a little bit more optimistic, whether you can say that, yes, digital omnibus will change something for the good for us, because, you know, like there are things that we are looking forward to see in the changed regime, or that there are things that are working very well and we want to keep them. What is your take from Ericsson's side on digital omnibus?
I think we are typically the taker of this, all regulations basically. So we have been in a very regulated industry for a long time with spectrum and all kind of regulations. So we are kind of used to this play quite a bit. But of course, it's a burden for us and for many. But I think we see this as a positive sign. I think in many areas we see a very, very strong political will to change. So I think we welcome that. We also welcome the delay of the high-risk AI implementation that we think was a bit premature, and we need some kind of standardization to base it on so it becomes easy to follow. I think one of the things we see is clearly that, unfortunately, when you are a business, then any kind of uncertainty is as bad as a bad regulation, basically, because it really hinders investments and innovation. So I think clarity is something that has improved, not the least when it comes to personal data and so on, but I think it's still more to be done. I think one specific thing that happens when you start to do deregulation of something that is very regulated is that, of course, when we change, we also have existing, we are very much under these radio equipment directives and so on, and some new things goes into some of the same areas. So we would have preferred maybe also some of these regulations to be removed in one of the places. So there are certain things where you have to, in some way, relate to existing legislation that many of us have. I think it's the same in AI as well. So I think we're also a company that is, we have been living from scale. I think all of digital is scale. I had the privilege to meet with Enrico Letta during his construction of the report, and I think for us, nothing is more clear than that this scale from the single market is key for everything here, because not even US and China are always big enough to build these systems with all the parts of the stack, and we for sure cannot do it in 27 places. So for me, that's really key. And I think we are seeing signs in that direction, but still, when it comes to national security, it sounds like national, so we are also used to having a lot of things that have been and will continue, I think, to be in the member states, and we have to find a way to handle that. But I think in general, we are positive to what's happening. There could be more. I think one thing we see that haven't been discussed here is, of course, implementation, clearer rules for the member states to implement. We have seen different implementations. Sweden is typically on one extreme, maybe, and some others on the other extreme.
That's what Marina also mentioned.
I think that is, of course, also back to, there are differences between member states, that's for sure. In Sweden, we love the tax authorities and give all our data to the government without hesitating. That is not the same everywhere, and that has impact on this digital identity and things. So, but I think we see that one thing that would be good is, of course, to take GDPR and handling of personal data to more differentiate actions between high risk and low risk. Today, it's very much the same. In some areas, what it has to do with data used in equipment to tilt antennas in our business and whatever, we clearly see that there is no high risk in that, and then we should remove as many burdens as we can while we protect the areas that has to be protected. So proportionality to the risk. Then I think we also see that there is further work that can be done on this personal data and possibilities to anonymize, to use that for training and so on. We have a number of areas where we will need data, and in some ways, today, we are fairly restrictive on the way we could use even anonymous or data where you cannot trace back where it comes from in order to support companies, to support innovation and so on. And maybe last but not least, something we have not said, we cannot regulate for what we have today. Technology is moving so quickly now that it's very easy that we end up having to deregulate something else tomorrow. So I think one clear thing we see is handling of personal data when it comes to use of smart glasses, physical AI, when it comes to what we will do in our equipment, like drone detection or sensing and so on, where you will have abilities to do things that impacts a number of people in the same way, and it's completely impossible to see that you would ask for consent in advance for certain of these things. And that is not super many years away. That's a couple of years away. So I think one thing we would like to add also is this future-proof regulation, that we actually try to work with industries, universities, experts to also see what comes in next step, because when it has happened, then I think it's going to be late for us. And maybe last but not least, one thing I think that we see working well in the US is that they have a very traditional way of utilizing industries, experts, and so on. We have a lot of very strong companies, not only us, but overall in Europe, to learn to trust that expertise and use it, because we will always, as a collective, have more competence than the political landscape, and use that. I think that would be key. And to end on a positive note, I think one key thing we could do in Europe, instead of rebuilding where we are behind US or China, I think we have a unique strength if you take the combination of world leadership in what we do, what Nokia do in digital connectivity, and the super strong industry we have that will really use that connectivity. So I think we have things that we can combine to make something that is actually better than what we have in China or US today.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll end there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mikael. And we see here blinking lights that our time is really running out. So sorry for that, because I think we are having a very interesting discussion. And I just want to pick on your last point on the industry expertise and on having the means actually and the expertise to actually help the decision makers to take the right decisions, because the regulation is supposed to serve also the industry and the society as a whole. So I think the expertise is here, and also a little bit to dear Marina's comment that what will Council do with the additional time. I hope that they take the expertise from the industry, and they talk to us, and they take the good advice from us, because we, as I mentioned, we have a big coalition led by Digital Europe, where all the industry actually agree on the three main things, which is let's make the data voluntary, data sharing voluntary by default. Let's harmonize the cybersecurity reporting, and actually let's find the legal way and legal clarity on AI training and innovation and GDPR. So we have that expertise in the industry, and we are very happy to share that. I'm very sorry that we are really out of time, but may I kindly ask our guests to finish my sentence just with few words. And if we can be positive, that would be amazing. Digital Omnibus is a chance to... Dariusz, can we start with you?
Is a chance to start the simplification process. The start, not the end, but it will be only the beginning.
Thank you very much. Marina?
The same sentence?
The same sentence. What is one thing?
I would say that if we do it smartly, Digital Omnibus can raise the competitiveness of EU without hindering fundamental rights of our citizens.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that. Mikael?
I think it can be a fundamental part of this building industrial competitiveness, building our strength when it comes to defense. We need this.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks all.
Thank you.